It's no secret that technology use is on the rise. More specifically, screen technology, like smartphones, tablets, computers, televisions. And just to give you an idea of the breadth and depth of smartphone ubiquity in America, there are over 290 million smartphone users in a country with a population that's just shy of 333 million. This probably doesn't account for people with multiple phones for work or businesses that they own, and different things like that, the people that have multiple cell phones. So it probably doesn't take that into account, but there's that. Then let's look at how much time we spend in front of these screens. The statistics are all over the place, but the numbers are ranging anywhere from 3 hours and about 45 minutes up to 10 hours of screen time a day for some people. There was even some reports that reported that up to 13% of millennials spend more than 12 hours of their mobile phone each day, or spend more than 12 hours on their mobile phone each day. So let's just jump somewhere in the middle with an average of, let's say, 7 hours a day. Let's think about that for a second. At 7 hours a day over the course of a year, we're looking at 106 days a year staring at a screen, staring at our phone, or out of 365 days, that's almost a third of the year that we are spending in front of our phone, staring at our screen. Now you're staring at a screen, you're listening to something. And don't get me wrong, screens and technology are great. They're obviously connecting families and friends. You're connecting with me through a screen to hear and listen to this. I mean, even when I was writing the notes for this, I was working on my phone, laying on the couch. And so phones and screens are great. It's the way that we stay connected with family and friends. Whenever my wife and daughter and I lived halfway across the country, that was how we stayed connected with family back in Texas, was by connecting through a screen, through FaceTime. We can build a business or build a business network online on screens. I mean, you can be sitting on the toilet and networking with 20 people. Let's just be real. I mean, I don't think there's probably a very small percentage of people that go to the bathroom without their cell phone now. We display art for the world to see. We make friends. We collaborate with colleagues across the globe. There's so many good things that do come out of screens. You can do schoolwork online. You can do certifications online. You can work from home online. You can do remote work. You can learn an instrument online. There's a ton of good that comes out of screen use. So don't get me wrong in this, but there are some negative downsides to it. And what is all of this technology use? What is it doing to us? What is it doing to us mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually? And this is by no means an exhaustive list of the impacts, but these are just some of the impacts from technology overuse for people that are spending hours and hours and hours on their screens a day. And I'm just as guilty. I run the screen time app on my iPhone, and I leave it on there so that I can see how much time I've spent on my screen each day. Sometimes that screen time is from using my phone as a flashlight in the dark, and just using the screen brightness to go check on my daughter and make sure she's covered up at night, getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and see where I'm going, or trying to get the leash and take the dog out in the dark, or whatever needs to happen. So some of that screen use is things like that, but that doesn't account for my 2, 3, 4 hours a day sometimes. And I'll be the first to admit that I have technology overuse sometimes as well. So let's look at some of the impacts of technology overuse and what that's doing to us. It can cause an increase in depression and anxiety. And while all of these are cans, I put that in quotes, cans, meaning it will vary from person to person. Studies on this particular topic found that it depends on the person's mindset prior to using technology and their mindset about the technology. I believe these two conditions worsen when a person falls into comparison syndrome, especially through social media, when we start comparing our lives to somebody else's highlight reel. So when we get into that, it can increase anxiety, and we begin to get these troubles in our mind sometimes that are just imagined. And Seneca, the Stoic Seneca, would say, there are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. And such a powerful statement, that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. We build up these conversations, we build up these contentions, we build up this comparison and anxiety in our minds a lot of times just by what we see and what we entertain in front of us on the screen. Another thing that technology overuse does is that it activates the sympathetic nervous system. Staring at screens for extended periods of time can increase the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. I want you to think your fight or flight system, due to the lack of the use of our peripheral vision, and this can also lead to increased anxiety. But when we don't use that peripheral vision, we're locked here, it creates this subconscious anxiety about what's happening out here, where we can't see, where we aren't looking. It also brings decreases in focus and concentration whenever we have this technology overuse. There's a book by Nicholas Carr where he discusses what the internet is doing to our brains, and it's called The Shallows, subtitle, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. Anyways, just a couple of key takeaways. He says that as we continually use and read short snippets, think tweets, it rewires our brains to only to be able to focus on short snippets, which makes reading long form more difficult. Also, studies have found that the closer your cell phone is to you while reading, like a book or a long form reading, the closer your cell phone is to you, the lower your focus, your retention, and recall of the material that you are reading. So it's better to have your cell phone essentially in another room whenever you are doing long form reading. Finally, because our screens feed the novelty crave of our brain, the more we feed that with screen time, the less focus and concentration we'll have whenever we're trying to get those points of deep focus and flow going, because we're addicted to novelty and refreshing the screen and refreshing our feeds and seeing what's going on this and going to this app and then going to this app. And so we diminish that ability to enter those flow states and focus and concentrate. These are just huge condensation of some of the takeaways of that book, but it's a little bit longer book. Some of the data is a little bit outdated, but it's still a very valuable book to read, to get into. And leave your phone in the other room while you read it. So technology overuse can also produce improper posture and kinetic chain alignment. This one's kind of close to my heart because I was a trainer and a coach for over 10 years professionally, and then kind of in smaller areas since then. But how many of you or people that you know have perfect posture when they're using their phone or laptop or even watching TV? I mean, I am guilty of it. I will sit in some of the kookiest positions, and I know other people do the same. They sit in chairs in kooky positions, sit on the couch all twisted and contorted. I've seen people get up in their office chair all twisted and contorted. So we put ourselves in these weird positions, and when we're sitting at the computer, we get these rounded shoulders going on, and when we're in this constant seated position, our glutes get weak, our hip flexors get tight, our calves get over tight, and so we start to get our kinetic chain out of alignment and causing all sorts of issues. And even with texting, we get that text net where our neck is forward because we're constantly doing this, and you see people walking around with a forward protruding head. We gotta pull that chin back, but we can get wrist and thumb issues from texting and being on our phone too much. Social media, again, it produces a me-centric society and mentality. And again, not everybody will fall into this. There's obviously people that don't fall into this. But a good majority do. Look at me, because we're in this phase of society where social media has kind of taken over, and it's what can I do to draw attention to me, to what I'm doing, what I'm posting. I'm posting this because I want you to watch it. I want you to watch what I'm sharing with you because I want to benefit your life. But I'm drawing the attention back to me, to my channel, to my page, to my website, whatever the case may be. And that's what we do with social media, is we get in this me-centric mentality. Why aren't people engaging with my posts? How can I make my TikTok the funniest video so that it gets millions of views? George Harrison had a song called I Made Mine, and it's just that ego of constantly feeding our ego. Extended screen time can cause eye strain. It can cause blurry vision, dry eyes, headaches, because when we're staring at the screen, our blink rate tends to slow down, and so we're not blinking as much. Our eyes get tired and more fatigued because we're not blinking, we're not moisturizing our eyes, and so these are little things that can happen close, coupled whenever we have it in that close proximity to our face. The brightness of the screens can lead to blurry vision and eye strain as well, and dry eye. It can interrupt our relationships by drawing our attention away from being present in the moment with our spouse, with our partners, with our children, with our co-workers, because we're talking to them, but then we're drawn to our phone, we're drawn to our screen to interact with that, which just subconsciously creates that damage and creates that tension in those relationships, because it's telling the other person, I don't care about you right in front of me. I care more about what's here with somebody that I don't really know on the other side of the world, whatever that case may be. Every time we pick up our phones in the middle of our time with others, it makes a statement that says whoever's on here is more important than whoever's right here in front of me. So how can we change that? We can cause weight gain along with other negative health-related issues. And it's no secret that we live in a sedentary society in America. We have desk jobs, we have gaming, we have Netflix binging, we have hours that we spend on our cell phones just seated on the couch or in a chair. So listen to this. The CDC pointed out that the US obesity rate, obesity prevalence was 42.4% in the 2017-2018 year. And from 1999, 2000, that year range, through 2017-2018, US obesity prevalence increased from 30.5% to 42.4%. So we had this 12% increase in obesity in America. During that same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4.7% to 9.2%. So as our technology has gotten better, as our internet has gotten faster, our smartphones have gotten more powerful, as streaming movie services have gone online. Some people kids today don't understand that Netflix used to get mailed to you, and you had to get a CD or a DVD and watch it, and then you had to put it back in and mail it back out, and you couldn't get another one until you returned that one. Now we just have this streaming constant influx of movies that we can watch. But as our technology has gotten better, our waistlines have gotten bigger. And think about that. How has your health been impacted by your technology use? Technology overuse can disrupt our sleep patterns. Our circadian rhythms are the physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow this 24-hour cycle that's based on sunshine and dark at nighttime. And when we are on these bright screens at nighttime, it disrupts our melatonin production from the pineal gland to help us fall asleep easier. And so it can disrupt those sleep and wake cycles and our circadian rhythms. It can cause hearing loss. If you regularly listen with AirPods in or noise canceling headphones and you're constantly listening to high music, high volume music or videos or whatever, it can damage the inner part of your ear, causing hearing loss later in life. And finally, technology and social media use can lead to addiction. Obviously, we see people that are constantly addicted. We have to touch our phones thousands of times a day. And it's because it utilizes this dopamine reward system within our bodies and within our brain, that our brightly colored screens and our apps with scientifically designed notifications keep us hooked and keep us drawn in. I mean, if you're looking at X app, if it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, how are they supposed to make money if you're not looking at the app? And so they bring about this addiction to that app and to that program. And so looking at all of these detrimental impacts of technology overuse, how do we, as technophiles, as digital natives, as the beta testers of technology for the next generation of the beta testers of technology use for the next generation, how do we go about reclaiming our time and our sanity and our sense of being? What is the antidote to technology overuse? There's actually one thing that provides an antidote to pretty much every one of these symptoms of technology overuse. Whether you suffer from one or all of those, there's an antidote to technology overuse. Meditation. Some people might think that's a little too woo-woo or too crazy for us, and most of my audience is here in the West, in America, and in America it is starting to gain ground, it's starting to gain acceptance, but I think a lot of people still think meditation is a little weird. They try to say it's too difficult. I thought it was too difficult when I initially first started, because you're thinking, oh, I just have to sit and think about nothing. Yeah, try that. Try to think about nothing. That's not going to work. You're going to drive yourself bananas because you can't think about nothing. But it's this process of sitting and observing your thoughts, observing your breathing, and calming your mind and calming your body down. And you're going to see some of these results and some of these impacts of meditation. So let's look. Meditation has been around for thousands of years, with the purpose of quieting our mind, being attentive to our thoughts, and increasing our love for self, our love for others, and creation, just to name a few. And science has really been catching up and discovering more and more of the benefits of this ancient practice. And here are some of those benefits that are actually antidotes to technology overuse. So it decreases the brain cell volume of the amygdala. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that's responsible for fear, anxiety, and stress, all of which lead to increased cortisol levels. Meditation activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Remember earlier I said one of the impacts of technology overuse is that it is responsible for activating our sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. But meditation activates our parasympathetic nervous system and helps to calm us down and helps to bring down our stress and bring down our fear, our anxiety. It can have an increase of up to 490% in our problem-solving abilities. It can have an increased cognitive flexibility and decision-making. And I know there are police stations that have started implementing meditation prior to their shift starting, in order to help them with problem solving, to help them with people interactions, and to help them with to give them that decision-making clarity that they need while on the job. So meditation can also have increased creativity by as much as 200%. a UCLA study found that long-term meditators, those who had meditated for an average of 20 years or more, show more gray matter volume throughout the brain. There's an increase in cortical thickness in the hippocampus, which governs our memory and our learning from meditators. Increased flow states. When we learn to focus our mind from distractions and wandering thoughts, we can more easily enter these flow states during work times for maximum creativity and productivity. There's reduced telomere shortening. Think longer life. There's decreased inflammation, decreased blood pressure, decreased cholesterol, reduced self-centered thoughts. What we talked about earlier, that social media has this tendency to create this me-centric society, but meditation increases or reduces our self-centered thoughts and increases our empathy and our loving kindness for others. It has this improved self-reporting of disease symptomology, increased production of feel-good hormones, or these bliss chemicals that are within our brains. Some people want to use weed or shrooms or LSD or all these other things, but the beauty is that we have these chemicals already within us, and we can produce them through meditation. We can produce dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, norepinephrine, which actually primes the brain for flow states. I don't know how to say this one. Anandamide, maybe that's how I say it, anandamide, beta endorphins, and nitric oxide. These chemicals fend off depression, anxiety, stress, anger, worry, and all these other things. And they can be released during meditations. There's an increased immune response. Up to 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. And when you calm your gut microbiome, when you calm down your body, your gut microbiome can produce these short-chain fatty acids that have an anti-inflammatory effect on your body, allowing your immune system to produce a better result, to work more efficiently and more effectively. You can have increased impulse control because you're sitting and you're in this continual practice of recentering and refocusing your thoughts and your mind during meditation, which translates to an increased impulse control and balanced emotional reactions. So when you're stressed, instead of turning to a Snickers, you turn to breathing, of controlling your breathing to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. So there are that increased impulse control, which can help with our weight, which can help with our immune system, which can help with our stress and our reactions and our emotional balance each day with the circumstances and situations that we encounter. The deep breathing associated with meditation is a powerful healing tool for lowering blood pressure, for reducing heart rate, for decreasing stress hormones, for increases mental and physical energy, and it improves our immunity through controlling our breath and doing breathing exercises. And there's a whole host of other benefits that are associated with meditation that combat these technology overuse effects, these things that happen when we're constantly in front of screens. And here's the deal. There are numerous forms of meditation, all teaching different approaches and different goals. And that's not what I'm here to dissect and go into today. And you don't have to do a specific one to get started. The main point here is to find a practice and begin. Just start. Even if it's 5 minutes a day. You can begin by simply just sitting quietly, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath as it flows in and flows out. I have some meditation tones that are here on my YouTube channel that you can listen to. There are numerous meditation apps that you can download. There's one, Sync Tuition. There's, what is the other one? I'm drawing a blank. I'm shooting from the hip here and I can't remember the name of that app. But there are, I'll put them in the notes so that you guys can have some ideas of where to go. But these meditation takes us, that as our technology use continues to escalate, it's vital that we learn to practice centering and practice this mindfulness as an antidote to that technology overuse. So my question for you is, do you have a meditation practice that you engage in? And what are some of the results that you've experienced? I began meditating just over a year ago, just to kind of give you my personal experience with meditation. Just over a year ago, in December of 2020 is when I began, and I've had an amazing experience. Am I perfect? No, there's not like a, oh, you're the best meditator. No, there's not a competition there. Again, that comes back to the me-centric thoughts. Meditation is one of those things that it's there for the moment. And as you do it more, you get to control your thoughts. You get to control your breathing. You get to control your experience in that moment, the more you do it. But these are just a short list of the impacts of technology or meditation and how they antidote the impacts or the effects of technology overuse. So begin a meditation practice, and if you already have one, let me know in a comment what your experience has been. Mine, like I said, has been great. I've grown a lot mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally through that meditative practice, and I found it very beneficial, and I believe you will too. All right, friends, I love you. I hope you have a great day. Start meditating and start taking control of those impacts of technology overuse. All right, friends, talk to you later. Bye-bye.